I am 90 years old, and I have outlived nearly everyone I ever loved. My parents, my brothers, most of my friends, even my dear wife of 60 years. But there is one thing I remember more clearly than my own face in the mirror this morning. It is a Sunday. The whole family is around one table, and nobody, not one single soul, is in any hurry to leave. We don't have that anymore. And I believe, with my whole heart, that losing it is one of the quietest tragedies of our time. We are more connected than any people who ever lived, with our phones and our screens, and yet I have never seen families so scattered, so rushed, so lonely. We traded something precious for something shiny, and most folks never even notice the trade. You feel it, don't you? That ache, the sense that everybody's busy but nobody's together, that the days fly past and the family barely sits in the same room. Well, sit with me a while, because I want to take you back to a Sunday the way we used to keep it and show you exactly what we let slip away. And maybe, just maybe, show you how to get a little piece of it back. I'm going to walk you through that whole day, hour by hour, the small and sacred parts of it that held a family together like glue. And there is one part of that Sunday, the part I miss with my whole heart, the part that mattered more than all the rest, and I'm saving it for the very end. So stay with me, because once I tell you, you're going to want to start keeping a Sunday of your own. Picture that house with me, a small white farmhouse, the morning sun warming the kitchen, lace curtains stirring at an open window, a long wooden table, scrubbed pale and smooth from 1,000 suppers, with mismatched chairs crowded close because there were always more people than chairs, a pot of something simmering on the stove since before dawn. That table is the center of everything I'm about to tell you. It was the heart of that house, the way the hearth is the heart of a home. And for one day a week, that heart beat full and strong, with every soul we loved gathered close around it. So pour yourself a cup of coffee, settle into your favorite chair, and let's go back together, you and I, to a Sunday morning, a long, long time ago. And while you're settling in, do an old man a kindness and tell me down in the comments where you grew up and what Sundays looked like in your family. I would dearly love to know. Let me start with the morning. Number 1. Sunday began slow, and it began with no work. That was the first rule, unspoken but iron. Saturday was for the chores, the washing, the fixing, the errands. But Sunday you rested. My mother would not so much as pick up a broom. The Lord rested on the 7th day, she'd say, tying her good apron. And if it was good enough for him, it's good enough for this house. There was a peace in that you can hardly imagine now. A whole day where nothing had to be done, nothing had to be earned, nothing had to be rushed. We have made every day a work day now, even our days off. We answer the little glowing phone at the supper table. We catch up on chores on Sunday, run the errands, mow the lawn, answer the emails that should have waited. We have lost the very idea of a day set apart, a day that belongs to rest and to family and to nothing else. And I believe our hearts and our bodies are wearing out faster for the lack of it. A person was never meant to run every single day with no stopping. The old folks knew that. They built a stop right into the week, a holy pause, and they guarded it. Try it, just once. Pick one day. Do no work. Let the chores wait. Turn off the glowing screen and put it in a drawer. Just rest and be together. It'll feel strange at first, I won't lie to you. And then it'll feel like coming home to something you forgot you were missing. Number 2. We all got dressed up and we went out together. Now, whatever your family did on a Sunday morning, and ours went to the little white church at the end of the road, the point was this. We did it together, and we did it dressed in our best. My father in his one good suit, a little shiny at the elbows, my mother in her Sunday dress and her hat, us children scrubbed pink and miserable in stiff collars, and we walked in together as a family, and the whole town did the same. You saw everybody. the Hendersons, the Wallaces, old Widow Carter. It was the glue of the whole community, that gathering. And it was more than just seeing folks. It was being known. The whole town knew if you were sick because you weren't in your usual pew, and a casserole would appear on your porch by Monday. They knew if a baby had come or a loved one had passed, and they gathered round you for both. There was a watching out for each other in that weekly gathering that no app and no group chat has ever come close to replacing. You were not a stranger in your own town. You were known, and you were missed when you weren't there. And there is a deep human comfort in that which we have very nearly forgotten. Folks knew you. Folks watched out for you. We've lost that, the regular gathering of the whole town in one place and the being known that came with it, and we are lonelier for it than we will ever admit. Number 3, the Sunday dinner. And oh, friend, now we're getting somewhere. Sunday dinner was the one real feast of the week, and it came in the early afternoon, not the evening. All week we ate plain and careful, but Sunday my mother pulled out all the stops. The chicken roasting since morning, the kitchen windows fogged with steam, the smell filling the whole house till your stomach ached with the waiting, mashed potatoes, green beans cooked with a little bacon, biscuits, and a pie cooling on the sill. It was not fancy, but it was the best she had, given with her whole heart, once a week, without fail. And because the rest of the week was simple, that Sunday meal felt like Christmas every single time. I can still see her at that stove, a strand of hair come loose, her face flushed from the heat of the oven, lifting that golden bird out and setting it on the table to a chorus of happy groans. "Now wash those hands," she'd call out, "all of you, before you sit," and there'd be a scramble at the basin, the little ones shoved up on their tiptoes to reach. That whole house, on a Sunday at noon, was warmth and noise and the smell of good food and the gathering of everyone you loved into one small bright room. We've made every day a feast now, with food from every corner of the earth, and somehow no day feels special at all. There's a lesson hiding in that, isn't there? Abundance, it turns out, is not the same thing as joy. We had less, and we savored it more. Number 4, everyone came to the table. Everyone. This is the part that breaks my heart a little to remember, because of how completely we've lost it. On Sunday, the whole family gathered at one table. Grandma and Grandpa, the aunts and uncles, the cousins. 3 generations, sometimes 4, all in one room, elbow to elbow, the little ones at a card table off to the side. The grown-ups talked over each other. The babies fussed. The old folks told the same stories they always told. It was loud and warm and alive. When is the last time 3 generations of your family sat at one table, with no television on, no phones out, just faces and voices? It used to be every single week, every week. Number 5, we paused and we gave thanks. Before a single fork was lifted, we stopped. My father bowed his head, and we all reached out and held hands around that table, the whole circle of us, and he said the blessing. It was short. He was not a man of many words. But in that quiet moment, with all our hands joined and our heads bowed, something settled over that table. Gratitude. The simple, powerful act of stopping to be thankful for the food and the hands that made it and the faces around you. We just start eating now, standing at the counter half the time, scrolling a phone with one hand. We've forgotten how to stop, even for 10 seconds, and simply be thankful. Try holding hands and giving thanks before one meal this week, even just saying out loud the things you're grateful for, even if it feels awkward and you've never done it before. Watch what happens to the faces around that table. Watch how the children settle. There is a power in that small pause that I cannot fully explain to you, only promise you. It changes the whole table. It always did. And it still does. Now let me stop a moment, friend, because if these memories are stirring something deep in you, if you can almost feel that circle of joined hands, then you and I are cut from the very same cloth, and I would be so honored if you'd subscribe and pull up a chair here. This little channel is nothing but a gathering of folks who remember when family meant Sunday and Sunday meant family. We'd be so glad to have you. Now, let me tell you about the best part of that meal, and it wasn't the food at all. Number 6. Nobody was in a hurry to leave the table. And here, friend, we are circling close to the very heart of it, so hold on to this. When the eating was done, we did not jump up and scatter. We sat. We sat at that table for hours sometimes. The plates pushed back, the coffee poured, the pie cut, and the talk just rolled on and on. There was nowhere else to be. There was no clock anybody was watching. Nobody had a screen pulling them away to somewhere else. We just sat in each other's company, in no hurry at all. I'm going to come back to this at the very end, because that unhurried table is the thing I miss most in all the world, so remember it. Number 7. The stories got told, and the same ones every time, thank goodness. Sitting around that table after dinner, the old folks told their stories. How Grandpa came over with nothing in his pocket, the hard winter of such and such a year, the funny thing Uncle Bill did at somebody's wedding back before any of us were born. We'd heard them 100 times. We could have told them ourselves, and that was exactly the point. Those stories were how the family knew itself. They were our history, our roots, handed down at that table from the old to the young, again and again, until they were part of who we were. And here's the thing I understand now that I couldn't have understood then. When my grandfather told us how he came across the ocean with $2 sewn into his coat, he wasn't just passing the time. He was telling us who we were. He was saying, you come from people who were brave, who endured, who started with nothing and built a life. Those stories gave a child a place to stand in the world. They told you that you belonged to something bigger and older than yourself, something that had survived hard things and would survive more. A child who knows where he comes from walks a little taller. And the only place I ever learned where I came from was that Sunday table, from the mouths of the old ones, between the dinner and the pie. Tell your old stories. Tell them again, even when the young ones roll their eyes. They are keeping them, deep down, whether they know it or not. And one day, long after you're gone, they'll be telling those very same stories to children of their own, and you'll be right there in the room with them, alive in the telling. Number 8. The afternoon was for visiting and rest, not errands. After dinner, the day opened up slow and easy. The men might wander out to the porch and talk and watch the road. The women would sit together in the kitchen. The children ran loose in the yard till they dropped. Some folks took a nap. Some went for a walk down the lane. And in the late afternoon, you'd go visiting, or folks would come visiting you, dropping by unannounced, because that's just what Sunday was for. No errands, no shopping, no catching up on work, just being together with no agenda at all. I think of the men on that porch, rocking slow, the smoke from a pipe curling up into the warm air, talking about the crops and the weather and old times, while we children chased fireflies in the long grass as the light went golden. I think of the women in the kitchen, drying the dishes and talking low about the things women talked about, laughing now and then so it carried out into the yard. Nobody was going anywhere. Nobody was watching a screen. The whole afternoon just unspooled, slow and sweet like honey off a spoon. When did an afternoon last feel that wide and unhurried to you? I'll bet you have to think hard. We've filled every hour, packed them tight, scheduled the life right out of them. Maybe it's time we left one empty, on purpose, for each other. The empty hours, it turns out, were the fullest ones of all. Number 9. We reached out to the ones far away. Sunday was also the day you remembered the family you couldn't see. My mother would sit down in the afternoon with her good pen and write a long letter to her sister 3 states away. Later on, when the telephone came, Sunday afternoon was when you made the long-distance call, the expensive one, all the children lined up to say a few words to Grandma's voice crackling down the line. The whole far-flung family was knit together by those Sunday letters and calls. We can reach anyone, anywhere, instantly now, for free, and somehow we reach out less than they did. Call someone this Sunday, someone who'd be amazed to hear your voice. It's the most old-fashioned thing you can do, and the kindest. Let me pause once more, because I want to say something to you directly. If you've ever felt that your own family has drifted apart, scattered to the four winds, too busy to gather, please hear me. It is not too late. These rituals were never magic. They were just a decision made over and over to show up for each other. You can make that decision too, starting this week. And if you'd like to keep these old good ways alive with me, subscribe and stay a while. There are more of us who remember than you'd ever think. Now, let me give you number 10, because every good Sunday had a little music in it. Number 10, there was music and we made it ourselves. In the evening, somebody would sit down at the old upright piano, a little out of tune, and start to play, and we'd gather round and sing the old hymns, the old songs everybody knew. Some of us could carry a tune, and some of us, like my dear father, most certainly could not, and it didn't matter one bit. We sang anyway, all of us together, the sound filling up that little house and spilling out the windows into the summer dark. I can hear it still, if I sit quiet enough. My mother's clear, high voice, my grandfather's low rumble, the children chiming in half a beat behind. None of it was good enough for a stage. All of it was good enough for heaven. We don't make our own music much anymore. We let the machines make it for us, and we listen alone with little buds in our ears. But a family singing together, badly, joyfully, in their own living room, that is a sound that binds hearts. Make a little music this Sunday. You don't have to be good. You just have to do it together. Number 11. And this one I have saved a special place for, because it tells you everything about the kind of people they were. There was always room for one more. The door was always open. If the new widow down the road had nowhere to be, she came to our table. If a young fellow was far from his own family, a soldier passing through, a hired man with no kin nearby, my mother set another plate without a second's thought. There's always room for one more, she'd say, already pulling a chair from the corner, and always enough in the pot. And there was. Somehow there was always enough. Nobody ate alone on a Sunday, if my mother could help it. I think about that a great deal now, in a time when so many people sit by themselves Sunday after Sunday with nobody to call. That open door, that extra chair, it cost so little, and it meant the whole world to the one who sat in it. Set an extra place sometime. Invite the one you know is alone. It is the most Christian, most neighborly, most human thing a table can do. Number 12. Sunday supper was simple, and that was its own quiet joy. After such a big midday dinner, the evening meal was nothing at all, leftovers from the feast. Or my favorite, popcorn popped on the stove and apples sliced up, eaten around the radio as the light faded. There was no cooking, no fuss, just the family, tired and content, winding down the day together in the lamplight. It taught me that joy doesn't take much. A bowl of popcorn and the people you love is a finer evening than money can buy. I can see us now, in the soft lamplight, the radio playing low, my father in his chair with his eyes half closed, my mother darning a sock she'd promised herself she wouldn't touch on a Sunday, the children sprawled on the rug with the popcorn bowl between us. Nobody had anywhere to be. The whole world had narrowed down to that one warm room, and it was enough. It was more than enough. It was everything. We chase such elaborate things now, such expensive entertainments, and still we feel restless and empty. But the old simple pleasures still work, every bit as well as they ever did. Maybe better. A quiet evening, together, asking nothing of anyone. You can have that this very Sunday. It costs almost nothing. It's worth almost everything. Now, I've kept you waiting long enough. Let me tell you the part of that Sunday I miss most of all, the thing I'd give anything to have just one more time. It's the table, that long, unhurried, never-ending table after Sunday dinner, the one nobody was in a hurry to leave. I have thought about it so many times in my old age, sitting alone in my quiet house, and I've finally understood why it mattered more than all the rest. It was the one time, in a whole busy week, when we gave each other the one gift that truly matters, the gift of our full and undivided time. Think about what was really happening at that table, in those long, unhurried hours. A grandmother was learning the small daily news of her grandchildren's lives. A father was passing down, without even meaning to, his way of seeing the world. A lonely uncle was being folded back into the warmth of the family. The little ones were soaking up the sound of grown folks they loved, learning how good people talk and argue and laugh and forgive. None of it was planned. None of it could have been. It could only happen in the slow, unhurried hours when nobody was watching the clock and nobody was rushing off. You cannot schedule a heart-to-heart into 15 minutes. The good stuff, the real stuff, only comes out when there's time for it to surface, the way a deer only comes to the meadow when everything has been still and quiet for a good long while. It was the one time, in a whole busy week, when we gave each other the gift of staying. Not a rushed hello, not a few words between tasks. Hours. Whole unhurried hours, with no clock and no screen and nowhere else to be, just sitting in the warm company of the people we belonged to, letting the talk wander wherever it pleased. That was love, friend, not the gifts, not the grand gestures, just the time, the willingness to sit and stay and not rush off. The willingness to say, with our presence, there is nowhere on this earth I would rather be than right here at this table with you. That's what we've lost. Not the roast chicken, not the piano, the time. We have made ourselves so busy, so productive, so endlessly occupied, that we have stopped giving each other the one thing every heart is starving for, to be sat with, to be lingered over, to be worth somebody's unhurried afternoon. The phones buzz, the schedules fill, and we eat in 15 minutes and scatter, and we wonder why we feel so alone in a house full of people. The old Sunday table knew the secret. Slow down. Stay. There is nothing more important than this, and there never was. And let me say one more thing gently, because I have earned the right to say it at 90 years old. The reason nobody does this anymore is not that we are bad people or that we love our families any less. We don't. It's that the world got faster and louder and hungrier for our time, and it crept up on us so slowly that we never noticed what was being stolen. One Sunday we had to run an errand. The next, a child had a game to get to. Then the work followed us home in a little glowing device. And bit by bit, that long, slow table got shorter and shorter, until one day it was gone, and we couldn't even say when it had happened. Nobody decided to give it up. We just let it slip, a little at a time, until it was lost. But here is the good news, the news I most want you to carry away. What slipped away slowly can be built back, one Sunday at a time. It only takes one person deciding the table matters and setting it, and saying, "Come." You could be that person in your family. It is not too late. It is almost never too late. I am 90 years old now. That table is gone, and almost everyone who sat at it is gone too. But I can close my eyes and I am right there. The afternoon light, the smell of coffee, my mother's laugh, my father telling a story he'd told 100 times, and nobody at all, in any hurry to leave. I would give every single thing I own for one more of those afternoons, just one. To hear my mother's laugh again, to feel my father's hand on my shoulder, to sit in that warm, crowded room with all of them alive and close and in no hurry to go anywhere. That is the truest wealth there ever was, and I did not know it when I had it. None of us ever do. That is the great hard lesson of a long life. The ordinary Sunday afternoon, the one you think will come around 1,000 more times, is the very thing you will ache for when it's gone. So since I can't have mine back, I'm asking you, with all the love in this old heart, don't let yours slip away. You still have your table, you still have your Sundays. You still, perhaps, have some of the dear faces I have already lost. Don't wait until they're only a memory. Don't learn this lesson the way I did, looking back. Gather them now, this Sunday, while you still can. So let me ask you, and I read every single reply. What is the one Sunday tradition from your childhood that you miss the most? The one that, the moment I describe it, puts you right back at that table. Share it down below so the next person can remember theirs too. That's how we keep these things alive, you and I, one memory at a time. And if sitting at this old Sunday table with me tonight touched your heart, if it made you miss someone or made you want to call your family this very weekend and say, come over, stay a while, then subscribe and pull up a chair. There's always room at this table, and there's always another story coming. Take good care of yourself. And this Sunday, sit a little longer with the ones you love. Don't watch the clock. Just stay. Because one day, friend, that unhurried table will be the thing you'd give anything to have back.